Arrested Development is the most intelligent comedy series ever written, with countless jokes packed into every moment. So I'm going to break down every hidden detail and joke in the pilot.
It's Arrested Development.
The first episode of Arrested Development opens on Michael Bluth,
This is Michael Bluth.
as we're introduced to the central theme of the show, family. We've also been introduced to one of the show's most unique features, the narrator.
For 10 years, he's worked for his father's company, waiting to be made a partner.
Because this sitcom relies so heavily on its ensemble, who are always off doing their own thing, the narrator acts as the straight man, holding your hand through the complex series of events.
This is Michael's mother. Currently, she's upset that her husband's retirement party is being upstaged by a group of gay protesters.
Good grief.
Michael's sister, Lindsay, is first introduced with the line, "Good grief," the title of a future episode, and the catchphrase of Charlie Brown, whose sad walk is referenced many times in the show. In fact, the callback is what Arrested Development is probably most famous for. So many lines and visual gags are foreshadowing later events, or reincorporated in another episode. I'll try and point them all out. There's a nice visual joke here as we're introduced to each character, as their descriptions get more and more pathetic. From managing director to socialite to activist, it's a nice way to get to know the Bluths. Arrested Development always presents its episodes in unique ways. And right from minute one, we're getting a line that won't pay off until much later in the episode due to its non-linear storytelling.
Not all homosexuals are flamboyant. Oh my god, I have the exact same blouse.
As a youthful act of defiance, Lindsay married this man.
I love the pairing of this picture of Tobias and the text clarifying that he's not on boat. Another way that this show enhances its humour is through the soundtrack by David Schwartz. The amount of times this show picks the perfect song to match each comedic moment is sensational. This specific track is called Tobias Eat Pray Gay.
Michael and his sister haven't spoken in a year. Neither has acknowledged this.
And the narrator's role is already being subverted. It's quickly confirmed to the audience that he isn't just there to explain the story, but to deliver his own jokes as well. His deadpan line delivery contrasts the rest of the wacky characters in the show and accentuates the writer's goal to turn everything into a joke. It might surprise you that Ron Howard's narration in this pilot was initially a placeholder, but was such a good fit that he appeared in every episode hereafter.
And this is Job, Michael's oldest brother.
So, this is the magic trick, huh?
Illusion, Michael.
Job's name is actually a reference to Jeb Bush. In fact, the entire Bluth family is a parody of the Bush family. His name is the combination of his father's and his uncle's, both played by Jeffrey Tambor, although his uncle Oscar won't appear until episode 20. The final Bluth sibling that we're introduced to is Buster, real name Byron. I honestly think that Tony Hale's performance is one of the most convincing portrayals of a neurotic character ever.
Thanks to the family's largesse, Buster has studied everything from Native American tribal ceremonies to cartography.
Notice this supposed Native American using a mobile phone and the seeds planted of the cartography lessons for later in the episode. Lucille can be seen perfecting her daughter's hair. One of her many bad traits is her obsession with public appearances. Next, we see Michael's son, George Michael. His jobs include salesman at a frozen banana stand and child. Canadian actor Michael Cera almost couldn't make the filming of the pilot due to struggles with his visa.
To prove his dedication to the family business, Michael has decided to live here, in the model unit of his father's latest housing tract.
And this beautiful match cut introduces us to the location of much of the series, the model home that the Bluths live in. The model home, and later Lucille's apartment, look a lot different here than they do in the rest of the series, because no permanent sets have been built for the pilot.
I sort of thought my contribution could be a magic show.
Oh, that's perfect, Joe.
The quick cut back to the Alliance of Magicians, accompanied by a musical cue, is a technique that Arrested Development will use often. The editing is commonly used to elevate a joke. This episode was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, who would go on to direct many of Marvel's biggest films. In fact, the Bluth family stair car can be seen in the background in Captain America: Civil War, along with a blue Tobias in Avengers: Infinity War. The latter is especially important because it happens during a scene where Thanos is manipulating reality, therefore making it canon that he sat and watched the show.
Look, what do you care? Can't you just charge the party to the company?
And we're introduced to the idea that the Bluths are charging their own expenses to the family company, which is the reason that the head of the family, George, will be arrested, and the rest of the series plotline is kicked into motion.
Mother, give me your company checkbook. You're cut off.
Michael, look. Look what happened to my fox. Someone cut off his little foot.
Not only will the severed limb be a recurring theme in the show, but this line will pay off later.
I don't care for Joe.
Buster is drinking milk in this cutaway to establish his childish personality.
I know it. It's about me, isn't it? I wonder how I can talk you out of ever making that face again.
Unfortunately, Jessica Walter passed away in 2021, but her memory will be immortalised in this iconic expression. And here we're introduced to Tobias, Lindsay's husband of ambiguous sexual orientation.
How are you?
David Cross was originally going to play Job, although I, like most fans, struggled to see him in this role. He stated in an interview that he had to fight for Tobias to have a mustache in this pilot because the head of the network actively fought against it.
Tobias recently lost his medical license for administering CPR to a person who, as it turned out, was not having a heart attack.
This sequence really proves that Arrested Development had its style down from the get-go. Presenting this scene through CCTV footage, the reveal of why Tobias's photo was in the newspaper, and his hilariously confusing outfit are a perfect example of this show's joke efficiency.
Buster, you can't do that on the balcony, buddy.
Mom says it's too windy.
Buster is surprisingly complex for a sitcom character. He has been coddled by his mother for such a long time that he has turned into a permanent child. I love the concept of the balcony being too windy to drum.
Be inspired by the boat party tonight. Start a career as a pirate.
I haven't packed for that.
And here we get the payoff to Lucille's missing foot as we meet Maeby, Lindsay and Tobias's only child. So called because a major plot point for the rest of the show is the mystery of whether she's actually biologically related to her cousin, George Michael.
Hey, you're my cousin, aren't you?
Maybe.
This is George Michael's cousin, Maeby.
And Alia Shawkat was actually the first actor cast for the show. This scene also plants the seeds for George Michael's later crush on his cousin. In fact, there's a surprising amount of incest jokes in this show. Subscribe if you want me to unpack them all.
But not really, right?
And Arrested Development gets its first miscommunication.
Tobias, now believing the boat party to be pirate-themed,
Oh, you look like a pirate.
began searching through his wife's luggage for an outfit.
I should say so. Look at the blouse, sir.
Because every character lives in their own little world, they're constantly talking past each other, creating these hilarious mix-ups. Tobias taking Michael's pirate joke as an actual theme for the party, and mistaking gay protesters for pirates, is hilarious, and pays off Lindsay's earlier scene.
How are you?
Oh my god, I have the exact same blouse.
I like it better on him.
Her failure to recognise her own husband is the perfect way to introduce the audience to how loveless their relationship is. Also, note how David Cross's clap is perfectly in time with the music while he's confident,
Then, mistaking a group of garishly
and then falls completely off beat when he's awkward.
protest against the local yacht club.
And already the show is calling back to itself, with the repetition of Tobias's line,
How are you?
How are you?
George Bluth is the final family member to be established. George and Tobias were originally going to be minor characters, hence why their introductions don't have freeze frames, but they gelled so well with the rest of the cast that they stayed for every episode. When Michael finds out that he's not going to be made president of the family company, the frame rate drops during his reaction, which is a technique that will be used again in later episodes.
Hey,
You okay?
Michael Cera speaks here without moving his mouth.
You okay?
Because the scripts were rewritten so much during production, Arrested Development relies heavily on post-production audio. Some instances are more noticeable than others.
Those police boats?
Prepare to be boarded.
I knew it was against the law!
You can see the reflection of a cameraman in George's sunglasses here. I'm going to assume that this was unintentional, although there are instances in later episodes of similar things being done deliberately.
Obviously, this blue part here is the land. Then that would mean...
We get a nice payoff to Buster's cartography lessons and frequent panic attacks as the Bluths attempt to escape the police.
Save it.
Aztec tomb.
Hold on, I don't have time for your magic tricks.
Illusions, Dad. You don't have time for my illusions.
What is wrong with you? Why are you...
Job's insistence that his magic tricks are illusions and using the Aztec tomb to vanish people are called back to many times throughout the show.
Bluth Development Company President George Bluth was arrested tonight.
The headline, Arrested Developer, is a reference to the show's title, and John Beard is actually a real television news anchor. If you zoom in here, you can see Lindsay taking Job's drink for herself.
By pushing on this pivoting panel...
I have to think the Alliance is going to frown on this.
Her husband has been arrested, yet Lucille Bluth is still obsessing over her appearance.
I've been waiting for the universe to provide a path for me, and I think it has.
You're gay.
No, I'm not gay. No, Lindsay, how many times must we have this?
You can briefly see the words "FUMKU," a reference to Tobias's surname, here on the police station wall.
No, I want to be an actor.
And thus, Tobias's dream of becoming an actor is born. And this wonderful wheezing giggle becomes its own running joke as it's recreated by Bob Odenkirk's character and Lindsay in future episodes. It's crazy how subtle some of the callbacks can be. And this is our first sighting of Sitwell Housing, the rivals to the Bluth company.
We need Michael.
In the background, Tobias is reading a newspaper about the entertainment industry. You might have noticed that this episode doesn't include the show's theme song, as it is essentially just a description of this episode's plot. The family loses everything, and Michael has to keep them all together. Michael Cera's ability to act awkward is truly a highlight of the show. Watch how he sips his glass despite it having a straw. Maeby's shirt here reads "Lotta Loves," which is very similar to a line from Lucille later in the show.
And a lot of love.
Michael's desire to move to Phoenix, Arizona is just a throwaway line here.
Sorry, it's too late. I'm moving to Phoenix. I got a job.
But actually happens in the season 2 episode, the one where Michael leaves. This city might have been chosen because Phoenixes represent rebirth.
No, it had to be your mom.
They cannot arrest a husband and wife for the same crime.
George's belief that a husband and wife can't be arrested for the same crime is foreshadowing a reveal in the final episode.
What are you doing? I'm packing up. What are you doing?
The many copies of Monopoly here are a callback to a joke that was cut from the episode, where Job performs a magic trick for George Michael.
For one moment it's here, and in the next, Monopoly. You don't have it, do you?
Oh yeah, I think I might.
The family also plays the game at the end of the episode.
What the hell, huh? Family first, right? It is going to be a little crowded, though, so I think you're going to have to share a room with your cousin. What you trying to say to me?
Not only is this zoom called back to in a future episode, but this camera work is one of Arrested Development's many examples of using its mockumentary style to make a joke. In fact, this show was one of the first sitcoms to have a multi-camera setup mimicking the style of reality TV. And finally, we got our first On the Next Arrested Development.
On the next Arrested Development.
While presented as a sneak peek to the next episode, these moments just function as a few extra jokes and very rarely actually reference what will happen in the next episode. This pilot makes it obvious that Arrested Development had its style pinned down from the very first minute. It revolutionized serialization in sitcoms, using its plot line for more than just a will they won't they romance, but actually having its own set of recurring jokes. Through its narration, editing, complex storylines and music, Arrested Development managed to squeeze a joke out of every single moment. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will analyse more of this show's genius.